take a look at a very simple example. If I have absolute value of x is less than a number k, that means all the numbers that are less than k units away from 0. So if this is k here, if this is negative k, k could be any number. Okay. So can somebody tell me what range of number we're referring to? Absolute value of x is less than a number k, means all the numbers that are less than k units away from 0. So what area we are talking about? What range of numbers we're referring to?
Negative numbers?
Well, it could be any number here, here, right? All those numbers are less than k units away from 0. Also on the other side, all these numbers are less than k units away from 0, right? So in general, would be all these numbers here would be less than k units away from 0. So in other words, if I had, give an actual example here, if I have, let's say, absolute value of x is less than 2, so it means all the numbers that are between 2 and minus 2 would be the solution, right? All the numbers between 2 and minus 2. Does that make sense? So this would be all the numbers that are between k and minus k. So what I'm doing here is I'm changing this form of inequality that involve absolute value to another expression that it doesn't have any absolute value in it, but it's in the form of inequality which I can work with. So this means this. Absolute value of x is less than any number means all the number between those two numbers. Does that make sense so far? So if you relate this to the distance of the number, we can understand this better. So in this case, you have, instead of x, you have absolute value of the expression here. 7x minus 2 is less than 4. So what you do is you translate into this inequality. You put minus 4 here and plus 4 here. But instead of x, you put this expression here. That's your x, really. So what that means is absolute value of 7x minus 2 less than 4 means 7x minus 2 between 4 and minus 2. First of all, if you understand this concept, solving absolute value in inequality becomes really, really simple. Are we okay? Can everybody see how to set this up, first of all, by looking at this? This means that. This one has an absolute value in inequality. This one doesn't. Question on that, anyone?
Yes. I don't know how to point, so I'm going to just use this pencil, I guess.
Okay, tell me what part.
The second part. The second part on the other side. All the way over. Yeah, this. Where you have this less than, what is that symbol that you have right there? Then, yeah, over here. Over. No, go up. Yeah, right there. What is that symbol right there?
This one here?
No, the next to it, on the other side, the right-hand side.
This one?
No, this one.
This one.
Yeah.
This is K. K is any number.
Oh, that's a K. Okay, I'm sorry.
Any number. I just call it K. This is a weird number, K. Just call it anything you want. Call it A. Would it be easier to put A? A.
It doesn't matter. I just don't understand this problem. That's all.
Yeah. So it could be any number. Well, you understand this example, though, right? I put 2, make it easier. Do you follow this example? Absolute value of x is less than 2 means all the numbers that are less than 2 units away from 0. So let's do it. Absolute value of x is less than 2 means all the numbers that are less than 2 units away from 0. So what are numbers that are less than 2 units away from 0? If this is 2, this is minus 2. All these numbers in between, all these numbers here are less than 2 units away from 0. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, that's what it's saying. But this means all the numbers that are between -2 and 2. So you have to understand.
So you have to go all the way to -2, because I thought it was any numbers less than 2 to 0. So, or is it any number less than 2 to -2?
Yeah, all the numbers in -2 and 2 means absolute value of x is less than 2. All the numbers are less than 2 units. So this number is less than 2 units. This number is less than 2 units. This number is less than 2 units. This number to the other side is all less than 2 units away from 0.
Yeah, but then in that case, anything less than 2, -3, -4, -5, all of that is less than 2. So you
Well, that would be
can't
greater. No. Let's pick a number here. -3.
Mhm.
-3, the distance between -3 to 0 is 3 units.
Oh, okay. It has to be with the 2 distance.
Right.
Okay. All right.
If I have 4 here, 4 is not included because the distance between this number 4 to 0 is 4 units.
Okay, I understand. So
Good,
it has
good.
to be in the 2.
Right. So if you relate the absolute value to the distance, that whole thing would make sense. So
Okay,
absolute
all right.
value of x less than 2 means all the numbers that are less than 2 units away from 0, and we're talking about these numbers here.
Okay, I understand. I got
So
it.
now what you're saying is this x doesn't have to be x. X could be expression, like in this case. You see, this is your x. Your x is all this stuff here. So the equation is still the same. You say all this stuff here, so the absolute value has to be between 4 and -4 because it says less than 4. Does that make sense now?
Yes.
So now what you do is the rest is simple. Once you can translate the inequality in absolute value to the equation, the rest becomes pretty simple. What you do is let me change my color here. Okay, so you add 4 to both sides of the inequality, becomes -2 here, 7x, and this becomes 6. Divide each term by 7. So x would be in between 6/7 and -2/7. So that means if I were going to write in the interval notation, there's no equal sign there. So it would be parentheses -2/7, comma 6/7, parentheses, and there would be my answer. So which one would be the right choice here? C, right? Question, anyone? Everybody see what we're doing here? Okay.